Friday. And if it's Friday, it is Brunch with Bernie, although I had to go spend the first half hour here of the show. We had Carl Frisch filling in because I was over speaking in front of the Supreme Court. We were occupying the Supreme Court today with a permit. It went very well. It was a fine time was had by all. But I'm back, and Senator Sanders is with us, sanders.senate.gov, his website. Bernie, welcome.
Good to be with you, Tom.
Great to have you. I'm by the way, if you hear weird background noises and whatnot, I'm here at this Health Action 2012 conference put on by Families USA at the Hyatt, downtown Washington, D.C. So what's happening with you and what's happening in the Senate?
I think you've already mentioned one of the issues that's happening with me and I think with the whole country, and that is we're about to celebrate the second anniversary of a very, very disastrous 5-4 Supreme Court decision on Citizens United. And I applaud you, Tom, and the others who are out in front of the Supreme Court today in protesting that decision and demanding that it be overturned. As you know, Congressman Ted Deutsch and I have introduced a constitutional amendment to do just that. We've got now well over 180,000 signatures or names on our petition for people who are interested in co-sponsoring that effort, and you could do that at sanders.senate.gov. And I think all over the country at the grassroots level, people are beginning to rise up. We're seeing cities and towns beginning to pass resolutions. In the state of Vermont, my state, I think there will be language coming before the state Senate there, are urging the Congress to move forward in overturning Citizens United. So we're gaining some momentum. But this issue, Tom, is so important because it's not some kind of abstract concern about campaign finance reform. What it is about is that if you're concerned about the decline of the middle class and the increase in poverty and the growing gap between the rich and the poor, or the fact that we have 50 million people without any health insurance, and we're the only country in the industrialized world without a national health care program. If you're concerned about the fact that we're not addressing global warming and moving to sustainable energy and energy efficiency, if you're concerned about what goes on in foreign policy and our tendency to get into wars that we should not have gotten into, you must be concerned about Citizens United and campaign finance, because everything that happens on the floor of the Senate or on the House has everything to do with the huge amounts of money that's coming into the political process, and the fact that the House and the Senate end up paying a great deal of attention to the top 1% and often turn their backs on the middle class and working families. So we've got to get a handle on campaign finance reform. We've got to overturn Citizens United. In my view, we've got to move to public funding of elections. But this is a huge, huge issue that has got to be addressed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like for the first time since maybe the 18-year-old vote or the end of Prohibition, people are waking up and they're taking seriously a discussion of David Cobb was telling me that that law school professors are starting to contact. He's with MoveToAmend.org. They contact him. Then you've got. I mean, there's different factions and different groups and all, but it all kind of comes to the same thing, which is like your amendment as well. Is let's have a conversation about this. Let's work this out and let's push back against these five guys who think they run the country.
Well, here's what you got. I mean, what you have and what we are moving toward is a situation where today, in this election, we understand, the media reports, that folks like Karl Rove will be controlling over $200 million in campaign funds, which will be sent into any state they so choose, probably for negative ads and without disclosure.
Right. And that's probably a minimum floor.
That's right. And then you got the Koch brothers, who I think are talking about spending even more. So you're talking, in all likelihood, about billions of dollars coming into the political process. And the impact of that is the following. What it means is that when senators and members of the House have got to vote on an issue, they're going to be thinking twice whether they want to stand up to Wall Street or insurance companies or drug companies, because they will know full well that when they go home a few days later, there could be huge amounts of money in ads attacking them. So they're going to think twice. It's going to make the Congress a much more conservative body, even more conservative than it is right now. The good guys are going to have to spend even more of their time raising money to try to counteract the influence of these super PACs, and you are going to essentially diminish to a very, very significant degree the ability of the ordinary person to have an impact over the political process. That's what we're dealing with here. So I see this as certainly one of the major issues of our time, and I would hope very much that people at every level get involved in this, because I believe it is not just a progressive issue. I think you talk to your average working-class Tea Party person, and you ask them whether they think a handful of billionaires should control the political process. I think they're going to say no. I think moderates are going to say no. So I think we've got a good chance to turn this around, and certainly this is a discussion that must take place and must take place right now.
Yeah, amen. Your thoughts on the healthcare system, and Medicare is under continuous assault, the Social Security and whatnot. Well, I'm broadcasting from this Health Action Conference, and we've been talking about that.
Let me just say a few words on that, because I think what happens in our world, we have the Republican primaries, and everybody is talking about, Romney and Gingrich and Santorum and so forth. But let us, I think those of us who are serious about the future of this country, get beyond personalities. And one of the things I will say about this Republican primary is the degree to which these guys are not talking about the major issues facing our country, including health care. And here's the health care issue. The health care issue, in a nutshell, is that we have 50 million people who have no health insurance at all today. We have 45,000 people who die every single year because they don't get to a doctor when they should. We have health care costs are soaring. They've slowed down lately because in the midst of a recession, people can't afford to go to the doctor. We are the only country in the industrialized world that does not provide health care as a right. And we say, hey, if you're rich, you can get the best health care in the world. But if you're working class, if you're poor, if you're middle class, and you don't have that deductible that you need to pay to get into the doctor's office, you don't have any health insurance, sorry, tough luck.
And Republican audiences applaud that, actually.
Pardon me?
And Republican audiences, they'll let him die.
Right.
Ron Paul coming. The Republican audiences applauded that notion that we should have this horrific healthcare system we have in this country.
Well, I think people have got to stand up and say it's time for the United States to do what every other major country has decided long ago, and that health care is a right. That if you're a working class person or you're rich, this is a basic right.
Yeah.
People should not be forced to die because they don't get to a doctor, or to suffer, or to see a shortening of their lifespan. So, and on top of all of the rest, we end up spending for this bureaucratic, wasteful system almost twice as much as any other country on earth, and our healthcare outcomes often lag behind other countries in terms of longevity, in terms of prevention of various diseases or infant mortality. So no question to my mind, we need a major overhaul of the healthcare system. At this moment, clearly, we've got to fight to prevent cuts to Medicare and Medicaid. But more importantly, we have to move toward a national healthcare program guaranteeing healthcare to all people. My state in Vermont, and I'm working with the governor on this, I hope we will lead the country forward into a single-payer system. And if we can do it well, I think a lot of other states will follow us and eventually the country. But what we call a Medicare for All single-payer program obviously is what we've got to be fighting for.
Right. And a good chance that will come about in the next months or years in the state of Vermont with your leadership.
We certainly hope so.
And others. We're talking with Senator Bernie Sanders. It's our Brunch with Bernie hour. Moved to our third hour today because I was down occupying the Supreme Court in our first hour, and fine time was had by all. And your calls for Senator Sanders up next. Stick around. 866-987-THOM.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
As I mentioned, 866-987-THOM, our telephone number, your calls, our national town hall meeting, and check out sanders.senate.gov to sign Bernie's constitutional amendment. And welcome back. Rhonda in Norco, California, watching us on Free Speech TV. You're on the air with Bernie Sanders, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Hi, Senator Bernie. God bless you, Sanders, and Tom, and everybody. Two things. The Democrats, it seems like they should run on save your Social Security. If you want to keep your Social Security, vote Democrat. And the other thing, Senator Sanders, is I keep griping about these voting machines. How come the Democrats let the Republicans kind of run them and pre-program, and like it was proved before in 2000, 2004, and various, God knows how many other elections? How come this is allowed? Because these surprise elections, I think, were phony.
Well, let me just say this, Rhonda. I think the first point, and I know Tom has and I have chatted a whole lot about your second point, the voting machines and so forth. I think your first point is enormously important. And I absolutely agree. I am the chairman of the Defending Social Security Caucus in the Senate. And I believe that Social Security, which, by the way, today, despite what you will hear from our Republican friends and from much of the media, Social Security has a $2.5 trillion surplus, can pay out every benefit owed to every eligible American for the next 25 years, and is probably the most successful federal program in the modern history of our country. It has very substantially reduced poverty among senior citizens, helped out people with disabilities, and widows and orphans as well. And in my view, the attacks that we see against Social Security have nothing to do with the deficit situation, because Social Security hasn't raised our deficit by 1 penny, because it is funded by the payroll tax. The attacks against Social Security have everything to do with the fact that it has worked exactly the way it was supposed to work, and it has been an enormously successful program. And if you're a right-wing Republican who hates government, who doesn't like Social Security, who believes that Medicare and Medicaid may be unconstitutional and should be cut, what you're going to do is attack Social Security, because it proves that in fact, government can, in fact, play a very, very important role in our lives, in this case, in retirement security. Also, many Republicans want the American people not to have Social Security so they can go to Wall Street and financial institutions for their retirement benefits, making zillions of dollars for our friends on Wall Street. So, Rhonda, I think your point is absolutely right. I would hope that the President of the United States, Barack Obama, would come out and say very, very clearly, under my watch, we are not going to cut Social Security one nickel. In fact, we're going to strengthen Social Security by lifting the cap on taxable income so that upper-income people put more into the system. And if you do that, Social Security will be strong, not just for the 25 years of today, but for 75 years.
Yeah, and from your lips to God's ears, Bernie, it's let us hope that happens. And it astounds me that there are even Democrats who say, "Oh, we should compromise on this," or anything like that.
Oh, Tom, there are too many Democrats out there. There's who are prepared to allow cuts in Social Security. Yeah. We've got to stand up and make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, we have to make our voices heard, make it loud. We'll be right back with more of our National Town Hall meeting with Senator Bernie Sanders. Brunch with Bernie here on the Thom Hartmann Program. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you, live from the Health Action 2012 conference in Washington, D.C., put on by Families USA. It is our Brunch with Bernie hour. Senator Bernie Sanders taking your calls in our National Town Hall meeting. And Robert in Rabun, Georgia, you are on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Senator Sanders. Currently, it's my understanding that it is illegal for foreign citizens to contribute to political campaigns. Is this the case?
Yes.
Okay, then is it also the case that a corporation that has been created by a foreign or an illegal citizen to contribute to the campaigns under Citizens United?
Rob, you've made an excellent point. One of the outrageous aspects of Citizens United is that at a time when there are many companies in the United States that are partially, significantly, or totally owned by foreign interests, these corporations can get involved in the American political process. So here you have foreign companies who have the capability now, under Citizens United, of putting ads on television. And what an outrage that is, that foreign companies now have a door wide open to them to influence American politics. One of the things that we have tried to do in terms of opposing Citizens United is that while we continue the fight and must succeed in a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United, there are some short-term pieces of legislation that can be passed which will ameliorate the damage. One of them is, in fact, to say, sorry, foreign corporations are not allowed to get involved in American politics. And that is certainly something that we should be doing.
Morty in Pasadena, California, listening on KTLK. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Yes, Senator Sanders. Tom, good to talk to you. Senator Sanders, do you think it would be a good idea with all the Citizens United talk in the air right now that Harry Reid bring back up the Disclose Act, which only lost by one vote the last time the vote was taken, and just force the Republicans to vote for non-disclosure? Because the Supreme Court said, hey, you can bring sunshine to it. In fact, they encouraged you all to do that. You tried to get that through, and it failed. And wouldn't it be a good idea just to put them on record? And maybe you get like a Scott Brown or somebody to vote for.
Let me just amplify what Marty is talking about. As I said just a moment ago, while the fight, the ultimate goal has got to be a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United, short term there are some things that we can do to significantly diminish the damage done by that horrendous Supreme Court decision. One of the things that Marty is talking about is the Disclosure Act, which we did bring to the floor, lost by one vote, did not get one Republican on board. And what disclosure says, among other things, is the following. As a candidate for the United States Senate, and I am a candidate, I'm running for re-election, if I were to put an ad on television in the state of Vermont, I would have to say that I take responsibility for this ad. This ad, take ownership of the ad. If we had a provision of legislation that said that when corporations put ads on television, the CEO of the corporation that is putting the money into that ad says, yes, I, the CEO of ExxonMobil or whatever, I take responsibility for this ad. I approve of this ad. That would go a long way, long way to make sure that these corporations are not putting ads on television or radio because they do not want their name out there. They want to hide behind phony groups. So Marty's point is exactly right. There are some short-term actions that we can take to diminish the negative impacts of Citizens United. I would hope that some Republicans would join us, and that is exactly what we should be doing.
Denise in Wadena, Minnesota. You're on the air with Senator Bernie Sanders.
Thank you for taking my call. Senator Sanders, I'm very concerned about the National Defense Authorization Act, and not just the civil liberties it takes away from us, but the amount of money that's being spent. The dogs of war are getting fat, and our children are starving. What's being done to fight against this?
Well, thank you very much for your question. I voted against the National Defense Authorization Act. And I voted against it for two reasons. Number one, as you indicate, the civil liberties aspects, the possibility of indefinite detainment of American citizens, and that was obviously a good enough reason to vote against it. But very, very little attention was paid to the amount of money we continue to spend on defense. Now, the good news is that our troops are out of Iraq. Well, where is the peace dividend? Is there a peace dividend? Not really. Not really at all. We, right now, have a defense budget, which, as I recall, is about 3 times as much as it was in 1997. We are now spending, as I understand it, more money on defense than the rest of the world combined. So I think all of us want to make sure that the United States does have a strong defense posture, that we're able to protect our people. But as the caller indicates, when we have millions of people without any health insurance, when we have more and more people living in poverty, when our child care system is totally inadequate, we have so many needs in housing and education. The idea that we continue to spend so much money on the military is wrong. And the answer is, what do we do about it? Well, some of us are working. very hard on that to come up with legislation and a proposal that, while making sure that we continue to have a strong military, make significant cuts in wasteful defense programs.
Yeah, I think Ron Paul the other night tried to make the distinction between defense and military that you're making, basically, that we can defend ourselves without having this, whatever.
But by the way, I would say, Tom, getting back to Citizens United and campaign financing, if you think the size of the military budget and all of these weapon systems are not related to the power of military-industrial complex, you would be wrong.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Senator Bernie Sanders with us. It's our Brunch with Bernie hour, our national town hall meeting. Back with more of your calls for Bernie in just a minute.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-987-THOM.
And be sure to get over to sanders.senate.gov and put your name on Bernie's petition to amend the U.S. Constitution. Thom Hartmann here with you live from the Health Action 2012 conference put on by Families USA. It's our Brunch with Bernie hour, our national town hall meeting with Senator Bernie Sanders taking your calls. You're still with us, Bernie?
Yep, right here.
Okay, let's pick up a call here. Dave in Phoenix, Arizona. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hi, Tom. Senator Sanders. Baby boomers are retiring at $300,000 a month. Where are these jobs going? Thanks for your answer.
Tom, I missed the first part of that question.
He said 300,000 baby boomers are retiring every month, and he's wondering why those jobs apparently aren't being picked up by somebody else, or
all that I can say, Dave, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if that, in fact, is an accurate number. But I do believe that the jobs crisis is the major issue facing our country right now. And the Congress has got to move very, very boldly in addressing that crisis. Because if we don't, the middle class will continue to decline. Real wages for people will continue to go down. Older workers will have a very difficult time finding jobs. Many of them are now working for a lot lower wages than they used to. So about all that I can say, Dave, is one of the things that has bothered me very much about this Republican primary is while they're busy attacking each other personally, I've heard very little discussion other than the usual trickle-down economics of giving tax breaks to the rich of how you address the need to create millions and millions of good-paying jobs. And I would just tell you that some of us believe that by investing heavily in our crumbling infrastructure of roads, bridges, rails, water systems, we can go a long way to create jobs. We also can create, over a period of time, millions of jobs, transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel and foreign oil into energy efficiency. We are wasting just a huge amount of energy all over this country in buildings where heat is just leaking right out the windows and the doors, and also into sustainable energy. If we can build our solar energy and wind energy and geothermal, create jobs doing that, and we begin to the process of reversing global warming. So those are the actions I think we need to take, Dave.
Robert in Los Angeles, you're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hello?
Hello, Robert, you're on the air.
Yes, I have 2 points. First off is the financial, because the RICO statutes, I think that would apply to the financial sector too, because of what's going on. And also, I also want to say about we need a national election policy in this country also. That is very, from state to state, it's so different with all these IDs and also the racist stuff that's going on. We need a national election policy, and I hope, it's probably not going to happen this year, but I hope Senator Sanders picks up and sponsors a bill on this. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Robert. I think what Robert is talking about is the RICO laws being applied to Wall Street. And in the midst of everything else that's going on, I hope that nobody for one moment forgets the fact that we're in the midst of this horrendous recession, where so many people have lost their jobs, their homes, their retirement savings, because of the illegal behavior, because of the recklessness of the major financial institutions in this country. And we can't lose sight of that for a moment. It's very easy to get distracted. That's the reality. We need real Wall Street reform. We need to arrest those people on Wall Street who have been involved in illegal activity that has caused so much harm. And that is, among many other issues, something my office is working on. We are going to come forward with some language soon in terms of reform of the Fed, real Fed reform. We've got to be talking about breaking up the large financial institutions. Tom, too few people fully understand that the 6 largest financial institutions in this country, top 6, have assets equivalent to 2/3 of the GDP of the United States of America, about $9 trillion. 6 financial institutions. And I think if Teddy Roosevelt were alive, he would be talking about breaking them up. And that is exactly what we have to do. And they control a significant part of the mortgages that are written, the credit cards that are processed. We need to break these babies up. So that's an issue. And in terms of election reform, Robert is right. What we're seeing right now in parts of this country is, to me, really, really outrageous. This has nothing to do with political differences of opinion. This has to do with voter suppression. This has to do with right-wing Republicans who say, I guess we don't have the ideas to win an election. The way we're going to win an election is by denying people the right to vote who are poor, who may not own a car, who may not have a driver's license and the proper photo ID. I think that is just disgraceful, that people have to force people off the voting rolls rather than try to convince them to vote for them. So I think we do need strong election reform laws. I've been working a little bit with the Attorney General's office on this. The President needs to speak out strongly on this, and the Attorney General's office needs to get more actively involved.
Yeah, agreed. Jerry in Terre Haute, Indiana, you're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Yeah, that's Kerry, Tom, but that's okay. I've always got a question in my mind when I hear about companies or people, and people are companies. How do we know as Americans that they're all qualified to vote? Are they hiding behind the word company and just put down as an electric?
Well, are you suggesting that corporations are voting, Jerry or Kerry?
Huh?
I'm confused.
Repeat that?
Yeah, I'm confused by your question. Are you suggesting that corporations are voting, or are you saying that it's the irony? Are you pointing out the irony that the court says that they're people, but they don't vote?
Well, all the people in that company, they all have to vote individually, don't they?
Yes.
Right, of course.
Well, are they all qualified to vote, or are they just being put down as an electronic number as part of the company? Just how far do they go with that? Companies or people,
Okay.
Well, let me be very clear, Jerry. I do not believe that corporations are people. I think the vast majority of the American people, regardless of political persuasion, do not believe that corporations are people, that they have First Amendment rights to spend as much money as they want without disclosure on political advertising. And that's the issue that we are working on. People who work for companies, like almost everybody in America works for a company, of course, they have the right to vote and participate in the political parties. But a corporation, which is an entity created by the government, is not itself as a corporation, as ExxonMobil or Bank of America, allowed to go into should not be allowed to go into their treasury and spend as much money as they want without disclosure on campaigns.
Margie in Portland, Oregon, you're on the air with Senator Bernie Sanders.
Hi, Senator. It's really nice to talk to you. My question is, I'm very political, and I noticed that there's a big lack of Democrats, actual liberal Democrats particularly, getting seen anywhere on TV or anywhere else, while all we see is, I don't know how many of these debates we have to watch, but we're always getting like one side of the story. So what can we do to get out the idea that it's not just the president? Our real problem is Congress. How do we fix the congressional sellout problem. You know, by giving information
there's a lot
to people
to be
who
done,
don't get it.
And I thought where you were going with your first question had to do with the corporate control over the media. And I always get a big kick out of my conservative friends talk about the quote-unquote liberal media, when if you look at who owns the major television networks, and not just Fox, of course, you find them to be very large multinational corporations. And I'm not quite sure how anyone thinks that they are quote-unquote liberal. And if you listen to talk radio, Thom Hartmann being one of the great exceptions, 90% of talk radio is dominated not only by right-wing people, but extreme right-wing people. And there are parts of this country where if you're just an ordinary person, you're a truck driver, just listen to the radio. The only thing you can get is extreme right-wing radio. So I think trying to create a more democratic media where people's different points of view can be heard is itself enormously important. The other part of your question, if I understood it correctly, is to make it clear that right now in the House of Representatives, that body is controlled by probably the most right-wing group of people that have ever controlled a body of Congress, certainly in the modern history of this country. And we have right-wing extremists in charge of the U.S. House of Representatives. You have some of these folks who, in their heart of hearts, believe not only want to cut or privatize Social Security and Medicare, some of them believe that those programs are unconstitutional. The federal government should not play a role in education. They would like to abolish the Environmental Protection Agency. Certainly very few of them believe that global warming is real or that the government should be actively involved in trying to save our planet, transform our energy system. And yeah, that is an issue. And I think I would agree with you. I think that the media does not make that point anywhere near often enough.
Yeah. Or the problem with the filibuster being abused.
Yes.
Yeah, just the whole spectrum. Senator Bernie Sanders with us here on our National Town Hall meeting, Brunch with Bernie. His website, sanders.senate.gov. If you're concerned about Citizens United, you can do something. Go over to sanders.senate.gov and sign Bernie's petition to amend the Constitution to reverse out Citizens United, this bizarre ruling from the Supreme Court.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
Back with more of your calls for Senator Sanders right after this. And welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. And Debbie in San Jose, California. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hello. When it comes to campaign finances, I think broadcast companies should be called to account for what they charge for campaign ads to be run. I mean, that is where so much of the money goes for campaigning. And not only that, they hold enormous power in deciding who gets to take part in the televised debates. And they leave out candidates like GOP buddy Romer. Nobody even knows that he's running.
You make an excellent point. What ends up happening to a significant degree, and Debbie is absolutely right, is guys go out, women go out, candidates go out, they raise an enormous sum of money, they give it to consultants. The consultants then hire somebody to do TV ads at significant expense. It costs a fortune to put these ads on television. So the process is candidates go out, raise money, and give it to the television stations. And we end up with campaigns which have very little substance in them, very little real debate, and a whole lot of 30-second ads. And then with Citizens United, it makes a bad situation worse because then you're going to have the super PACs pouring huge sums of money into mostly negative ads. The other point, so I think Debbie is exactly right. I think we should be moving toward a process by which television time, the airways are owned by the people. Television time should be made available for serious discussions of issues, giving candidates time to present their point of view for debates. And I think that would make a much healthier political process. The only point that I would add to what Debbie said is, and what is not widely understood or discussed, is when Citizens United allows all these super PACs to pour zillions of dollars into television ads, the television networks and the television stations, they're delighted. they're now making money hand over fist. So Citizens United for them has been an extraordinary boom, and will raise their profits very, very substantially.
Yes, and what a problem. Ernest in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, you're on the air, and thanks for watching Free Speech TV. You're on the air with Senator Sanders. Got about a minute and a half here to the break.
How you doing?
Good.
Yes, I'm calling. I don't hear a lot of talk about the voting machines. That's going to come to play. We're seeing right now that they're trying to stop minorities from voting by coming up with these phony thoughts about all of the.
Ernest, we just have about 30 seconds left before the break, so let's let Bernie respond.
I want to see if there's going to be anybody that's going to be talking about that situation with the voting machines.
Going back to paper, Bernie?
The answer, Ernest, is yes. These issues are significantly within the hands of the states. I think, Tom, you correct me if I'm wrong, we've had a number of secretaries of state now who have not only spoken out but acted against voting machines. Is that correct?
Yes, and certainly a lot of county officials as well who are pretty freaked out about it. But
so Ernest,
California is the largest state where the state attorney general has spoken out about it.
I mean, elections are the voice. It's when people express their views, and fraud should not be allowed. And we have to be 100% sure that when you cast your vote, it is appropriately counted. And if there's any doubt, you do away with those machines.
Yeah. Go back to paper. It works fine for most countries. Or maybe have the government own them. I don't know. Anyway, Senator Bernie Sanders with us, sanders.senate.gov. We'll be back with your calls for Bernie right after this. And now back to Brunch with Bernie. Senator Bernie Sanders taking your calls. And Joan in Atlantic City, New Jersey. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hi, Senator Sanders. Number one, I just want to say you're awesome, and we need a whole Congress full of people like you.
Thank you.
And number two, I wanted to ask you what your opinion is of what Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart are doing with their super PAC ads that they're putting on TV now in South Carolina.
I think that Stephen Colbert does a great job in making us and everybody else understand the absurdity of the so-called independent PACs, the super PACs, and I think he does it in a very, very effective way. And I think working with Jon Stewart and Comedy Central, I think they are educating millions of people about the idea that the so-called independent super PACs are not independent at all. They are working hand in glove with the candidates. There are so many ways that you can do that. And exposing that is a very positive thing. So I think through their humor, they're playing a very important role.
Wayne in Jacksonville, Illinois. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Yes, Senator. A few months back, I heard Tom mention on his show the Made in America law that's been neglected for 30 years.
60 years. It was passed in 1935.
Well, okay, but it's been ignored since Reagan. But at any rate, isn't it? If I understand it correctly, it requires that the government buy only products made in America. And if that's the case, isn't that something that the Progressive Caucus and the labor lobby and sensible people in general should be making a lot of noise about now?
Wayne, you're absolutely right. The answer is yes. Some of us are, but I think we can and should be doing a lot more. If we want to understand why the middle class is declining and poverty is increasing and why we have lost millions of decent-paying jobs because corporations are outsourcing our jobs to China and Mexico and other low-wage countries, it is important to focus on how we rebuild our manufacturing sector in this country. I have been working in a couple of areas, but we've got to do a lot more. We've been working with the Smithsonian, who are in fact now going to be purchasing significantly more of their gift products made in the United States of America. We're working with the national parks people, and they're also going to be purchasing more of their products made in America. Now, Tom, you may recall a few weeks ago, a veteran, a woman called us up who was in a VA hospital and noticed that at the VA hospitals, many of the gifts and the supplies there were made in other countries. And we're now beginning to focus on that. But I think clearly the goal of, for at least the start, making sure that the huge purchasing power of the United States government, to as great a degree as possible, is focused on buying products made in the United States of America, is something that we should be doing.
Jack in Bellows Fall, Vermont, a constituent of Bernie.
I was told, I didn't hear it on the news, that it was decided by a judge that the state of Vermont cannot close Yankee. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay, where's it going to go from here, Bernie?
Well, I would hope. I think the governor, and this is a Vermont issue, and what Jack is talking about is many of us in the state of Vermont wanted to shut down Vermont Yankee nuclear power plant in the southern part of the state, not very far away from Bellows Falls. And what a judge said, I think in a very bad, poorly reasoned decision, that the state did not have the authority to do that, that the federal government had jurisdiction over the issue. The lawyers, Jack, are now studying the issue, and I would hope, and that's the governor's decision, not mine, but I would hope that we will appeal that to a higher court. I believe that for non-safety reasons, the people of the state of Vermont have a right to decide their energy future, which I believe should be energy efficiency and sustainable energy, and not nuclear power. So that's kind of where we are.
Bernie, we have a little less than a minute left to wrap it up. Your thoughts?
Well, sometimes, Tom, we look, and the calls are great, and they were great today, and we look at all of the enormous problems facing our country. I want to leave maybe with a note of optimism and point out to people that I think that in the last year or so, we've seen significant grassroots efforts to start transforming America. And let's not forget that our good friends in Wisconsin, just recently, I think, they've brought forth 1 million.
1.8 million.
1.8 million, unbelievable, in order to do a recall of their governor, their right-wing governor. They have in Wisconsin already unseated through recall efforts 2 right-wing senators. In Ohio, the folks there, the unions and working families, fought back and won a tremendous victory in repealing anti-union legislation. From Citizens United, other activities, the SOPA business, I think you're seeing the reactivization of progressive grassroots efforts, and I think that's long overdue and something that we got to keep pushing.
Amen. Thank you, Bernie, for being with us.
Okay, take care, Tom.
It is always an honor to have you.